Today, I'm going to show you how to make this decadent and quite fancy pasta. It's filled with large pieces of butter poached lobster that are tossed through a creamy and rich butter and cherry tomato sauce. Any home cook can master this one. It's my lobster pasta. I'm using a very large Australian lobster tail which weighs around 1 kilo or 2.2 pounds. To get started, we need to remove the lobster flesh from its shell, and I'm going to show you how to butterfly it at the same time. Begin by placing a pair of kitchen scissors between the flesh and shell and cutting down the middle of the shell. This is going to give your knife a little bit of a head start. Stop at this part here for a butterfly tail. Grab a sharp knife and pierce it through the shell, cutting all the way down. If your knife is a little blunt like mine, you are going to need to apply a fair bit of pressure to cut through. Open up the two sides of the lobster tail, and there you have it, a butterflied lobster tail, which isn't needed for this recipe, but it's a great little skill to have up your sleeve. To remove the meat, place your fingers between the flesh and the shell and begin to dislodge the meat from the shell. You will need to apply a bit of pressure to remove the meat, but not too much. When you get to the bottom of the tail, give it a little tug or twist if needed, and it should easily detach. Repeat this on the second side. Cut the lobster meat to your personal preference. I like quite large pieces of lobster in my pasta that are roughly 4 centimeters or 1.5 inches long, but you can cut them smaller if you prefer. Scoop up the meat and set to the side for now. Grab a large stainless steel pan and drizzle 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil into it. Now this next step isn't essential, but when you're paying an arm and a leg for lobster, you want to utilize every last part of it from the meat to the shell. The shell also has a lot of flavor, and it will beautifully flavor the olive oil and create an almost lobster infused oil. Cook for a few minutes or until the lobster turns bright red. Remove the lobster shell from the pan and add 50 grams or 1.7 ounces of butter into the lobster infused oil. While stirring often, melt the butter, and once it's foaming, turn the heat to low or until the butter has a really slight bubble to it. Add the lobster meat to the butter and cook it low and slow for roughly 3 minutes or until it's no longer glassy looking and those grey bits on the side have turned a pinky red colour. We only want to cook our lobster around 90% of the way through, as it will continue to cook when we stir it through the sauce. Using a slotted spoon, remove the lobster meat from the pan, ensuring you leave as much as the butter behind. Give the spoon a little wiggle to get all the butter out. Once we have prepped and cooked the lobster, there is very little prep work needed for the sauce. Remove 2 cloves of garlic from the bulb and smash it with the back of a flat knife to break open the clove and help remove the garlic skin. Once the garlic skin is removed, finally dice the garlic. We're cutting it this way for a more fragrant garlic flavour throughout. We also need 1 shallot. Cut it in half lengthways and then cut the tip off, as this will help us remove the skin by creating a little opening to get your finger under. Remove the skin from the shallot and then finely dice it. I do this by cutting as many vertical slices as I can while keeping the root intact, as this holds the shallot together. Follow this by cutting 3 horizontal slices and then slicing downwards as you move your knife closer to the root. Repeat this with the second half of the shallot. Back to our pan, add the shallots and garlic and cook on a medium heat for several minutes or until they are fragrant and translucent. You want to keep stirring to ensure the garlic does not burn. Once they are cooked, add half a cup of white wine and cook until 80% of the liquid has been absorbed by the shallots and garlic. I find this gives them a slightly pickled and tangy flavour. Next, we are going to add 400 grams of cherry tomatoes to the pan, and this is where the magic happens, because when you cook cherry tomatoes, they burst open and create a creamy, jammy and sweet sauce that is perfectly paired with pasta. Once the tomato skins begin to blister, which happens around the 2 to 3 minute mark, they will burst open and release their juices into the pan. You can push them down with the back of your spoon to speed things up if you like. Once the sauce is at a consistency to your liking, season with salt and pepper. You can really pair this sauce with any pasta shape you like, and today I'm using linguine. Cook it very al dente in a heavily salted pot of boiling water. And the reason we want to take it off the heat before it has finished cooking is because it will continue to cook when we add it to the sauce. Reserve up to 1 cup of pasta water and then drain the pasta. Add the pasta to the pan with the sauce and turn the heat to low. Add a little bit of the reserved pasta water and 50 grams or 1.7 ounces of butter that has been cubed and stir it through. The pasta water and butter will emulsify to create a silky and glossy sauce. The starch in the pasta water will help the sauce cling to the pasta and will also emulsify with the butter. I like to do this step in batches and on a low heat so my sauce doesn't break and the consistency is exactly where I need it to be. Add the lobster meat and a large handful of finely diced parsley to the sauce and very gently stir it through the pasta. The parsley adds a lovely freshness throughout. Squeeze some lemon all over and stir it through. Finish off with a little more parsley and a crack of black pepper. Plate up the pasta, making sure you get those large pieces of lobster on top. Enjoy and make sure you follow and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching!